a carrier has to look at submissions holistically and determine is this submission likely to generate a claim, and what's the severity of that claim if it comes in. So over time, carriers developed a lot of data about the submissions that they had, the types of claims that were generated, and what could be done on the front end to minimize risk. That gave that developed the clearance culture that carriers now have. And all lines are a little bit different, but historically speaking, what happened in the entertainment industry was if you didn't have a clearance for it, if you didn't have a written release for it, you didn't have coverage for it. Well, that poses a huge problem for filmmakers, especially when they're relying on fair use, because the whole purpose of fair use is you don't need a written release. So, which brings me to when, about 6 years ago, when Michael called me about a couple of submissions that we had from his clients. They were documentary films that, for whatever reason, had to rely heavily on fair use, be it for cost or the rights holders just were unwilling to license the clips at issue. And Michael asked me, look, take a look at this, take a real careful look at these films, and be intellectually honest about the risks that they pose. Yes, there aren't going to be written releases, but that shouldn't preclude the filmmaker from having full coverage. So I remember the initial conversations that we had in our claims department, and it was about what you would expect. People looked at me like I was crazy. They said, sure, this is likely fair use. In fact, it's certainly fair use. But what if one rights holder sues? You're going to be on the line defending the copyright claim for something that the filmmaker didn't have a written release for. Well, after a lot of politicking and some good timing and a little bit of luck, we convinced the underwriters to write the films without exclusions. Unfortunately, nothing happened. The films were distributed and no claims came in. So then Michael called me a couple months later and he said, you know, if you guys were able to put together some fair use endorsements, you could really capitalize on the intellectual capacity that you guys have. So again, with a little timing, luck, and hard work, we were able to put together the fair use endorsements, which brings me back to the whole reason I was asked to come here was to explain the role that insurance has for filmmakers. You need full coverage to find a distributor, and if you have a good clearance attorney like Michael, who can help you fall safely within the safe harbor, you're much more likely to find a carrier who's willing to take on the film and write it with full coverage.